Detroit, the near future. Officer Alex J. Murphy and his partner Ann Lewis fight to rid the decaying city of the criminal element which infests it. After being mortally wounded in the line of duty, Officer Murphy is outfitted by OCP with bulletproof titanium robotic parts and with computer-enhanced motor and sensory capabilities. He has become the ultimate super cop, RoboCop.
Welcome back, everybody, to Suns and Shadows podcast. I am joined, as always, by Kevin, and I am Jeff. We are your hosts for this little episode covering RoboCop, the animated series. Kevin, buddy, did you like this?
I did. I really did. I didn't think I would, but I greatly did. I'm like, this is quite appropriate for being a RoboCop show.
Goddamn right.
More so than the 2014 movie was.
Exactly, and it's not even close.
No, like, people actually get shot in the fucking cartoon.
Even though it looks like it's by, like, a laser gun or something.
Yeah, it does do that. But, like, I want to say he shoots a guy in the chest in the very first episode within 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Like, damn.
Like, they might be pulling their punches, but they're not pulling their shots. Boom.
No, they're not. And he used his gun quite a bit in this, which was nice, and not for bank shots. We got, not old, but predictable with the TV series.
And he still kept his trick TJ laser, spin the gun and throw it into his leg thing.
Oh, I tried doing that today with one of the kids. For training with the dog, we've been using a spray bottle to say no.
Yeah.
And Zoe came up to me just like screaming her fucking head off, and the bottle was right in front of me, and she wouldn't stop. So I just picked it up and nailed her right between the fucking eyes, and then spun it around and put it down. Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
What you should have said was like, you have 20 seconds to comply. 0.
Your ass is now smoke. But it was nice to see Ed 209, which they called him Ed 260 in this.
Well, when they were doing like the newer model numbers, I'm like, are we a few years into the future? Because at first I'm like, they start with the theme in the intro where they basically say, he was a man, he was shot, he was mortally wounded, he is now RoboCop. And then they go right in, and it feels like they're like a few years into the future. And because they don't talk about the wife and the kid, and everything seems super futuristic in this by comparison to everything else. And it's not till later in the show that you're starting to figure out, hey, wait a minute. We're not 20 years in the future. We're like 20 days later.
Yeah, something to that effect.
Because of things that happen at the end. It's completely crazy. But I think they should have just stuck with the overall further down the line into the future. But, that was just my initial impression was like, holy shit, we're into the future. This is really neat. And all the new tech, the new gadgets, it was really fun.
It's true. They had more science and tech in this than they did in, the last two movies.
And the other TV show.
Oh, really?
I thought they did a lot more in this animated series than they did in the TV show for futuristic tech.
Yes, they did. And they explained tech that was already pre-existing, like Robo's chair.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just where he sits. That's where they actually recharge him and rewrite his programming, and which you kind of know from the first movie, but not so much the recharging part.
Right.
Not important, but neat. The cops all look the same. They're wearing the same type of uniforms. Everyone's likeness has been changed just a bit, so the actors didn't have to get paid for it.
Probably.
Yeah, but for the most part, like, everything looks just like it would in the movie with the little, kit red thing going back and forth in his eyes. Other than that.
The Cylon eye, as I call it again.
Yeah. And he did have his little truth detector thing in this one. That was kind of fun to see again. Which
yes,
this would have been the first time he used it, wouldn't it?
I believe so.
I don't remember him doing it in the first movie.
I don't remember that in the first movie, at least. Now, I haven't seen the third one in too long. I wouldn't say too long. Probably not long enough.
Right.
But I don't honestly remember like if that was even part of the movies or not. That might have been something they invented for all the shows, like the animated series and the live action show. And I don't even know about Prime Directives because I haven't seen that in a long time either. But this has got to be one of the first attempts because this show was from '88.
Yeah, this was like immediately after, like somebody at Orion said, fucking order us 12.
They were going to do 13, but they took the budget to make 12.
Oh, really?
Yep, that was some little digging I was doing on the show. Hey, this was a Marvel production, so that's how this kind of came about. Was Marvel at the time had the rights, and you're trying to find a home video version of this, you won't because Disney owns this shit.
Oh, like Muppet Babies.
Yep, because Marvel and at the time was animating this, then it became part of the Fox deal, and then Fox got bought by Disney, and thus Marvel Fox sits under Disney now.
Huh.
Otherwise, all other RoboCops are owned by MGM straight up, which is now Amazon Prime.
Okay.
But that's why it's hard to kind of find this show. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit to where you can watch this now. You can't really find a great place to watch it. However, we'll put a link in our description and in our social media when we post this. Internet Archives or archives.org has this show. You can actually just watch it through their own browser. And it looks fine. It sounds fine. It works just fine. So if you're digging the show and what we're talking about, we'll have the information for you later on for where you can go directly to check it out.
I was just checking to see if you can cast from your device or computer, but no, you do have to watch it either on your screen or in your mobile device. But like Jeff said, it's just like watching your TV on Saturday morning. It's not warped because it has to spread out to full screen or widescreen. It's not staticky. It looks very good.
Yeah, it's well worth checking out, even if you just want to check out like the first episode or two. Fair warning, you're gonna get into the show.
Yeah,
you might think this is, oh god, it's a kid cartoon. Literally, this is from the era when kid cartoons were pretty sweet.
Yeah, the late 80s was great because nobody was giving a shit what your kids watched.
TV was your babysitter, and you know what I'm talking about.
I was the happiest little latchkey child. I totally was. Like, I loved watching monster movies, cartoons, whatever the fuck else. Like, if I wasn't married now, I'd be stuck to Disney Plus all the fucking time.
I'd be like Adult Swim at night half the time, and I'd be watching and playing video games just like I did as a kid.
Well, yeah, it's like I can get my kids to watch Ultimate Spider-Man, but if I throw in like Spider-Man and his amazing friends, they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yep.
They suck. They have no culture.
Or what was the DC show Super Friends? Where like, all of that. Nobody wants to watch that these days, but I sure would.
Harley will watch it. The others are like,
okay,
can we go watch JLA? Really?
Like the real stuff? Yeah.
where Batman fucks people up beyond belief. Oh shit! I almost fucking wanted to break people's hearts today. There was a meme going around saying, "Post a picture of a gut-wrenching scene," and people would show like the kid from fucking Pet Sematary Gage getting hit by the semi truck or what have you.
Yep.
I wanted to post the picture of Batman singing "Am I Blue?"
That would have been good.
Watch all the nerd babies fucking go, "Fuck you!" You did it on purpose.
May the 4th be with you. That's what today is.
I thought you were one of us.
Not anymore, bitch.
Not when a joke's concerned.
Nope.
I have no friends. But going back, just within the first episode, they use it as a medium to reintroduce you to things that have already existed, or just like readjust. Like, you don't have Lisa Madigan in this. You do have Lewis, which is nice, mostly.
We'll get to the characters very soon.
Again, you've got Ed 260, which is basically Ed 209 without fucking barrels on the end of his guns.
Yeah, a little more updated, upgraded. It definitely feels like it's a work in progress with a lot of the cybernetics and robots that they introduce in here. So it always feels like there's constant movement in the background that they're always looking to improve. That's why I felt like the show took place like 20 years later.
Yes, OCP was very like conglomerate, capitalistic.
They're very shady in this show by
Yes.
comparison to what it was in the live action show.
Yeah, Boner was not a nice guy in this movie still. He just wasn't.
God, no, they actually did a shot later on in the series. Like, if you remember the environmental episode, and at the very end, it's like the split screen of him on one side looking kind of sour and evil. And on the other half of the screen, RoboCop's just walking away. And it's like, you're setting yourself up to be the true big bad of this show, aren't you? Not Professor McNamara or Dr. McNamara.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
OCP.
damn, that's like anime level shit. I'm like, damn, that's cool.
Well, it's just like Max Headroom. Like that's the
Well,
that's the rub. The bad guy is the business you work for.
well, your hero is only as good as the worst bad guy, and you got a couple of them.
Yeah, and they saved the big one for the end. That surprised me.
Yeah,
But McNamara, he was a nice replacement for Dick Jones.
I thought so too.
Not as prickish as Ronnie Cox, but always out to get RoboCop.
Very
and smart enough
stubborn.
to know, yeah, very smart enough to know when he's been had or when he needs to like call it quits.
Yes.
Very opportunistic.
Well, yeah, there's the one episode where, he had his lab broken into and he's like, what the hell? What is going on? Oh, you want to hurt RoboCop? Okay, sure, I'll help you now. And then at the end, he's like, you know what? I don't dig what you guys are doing. You guys are at. And he like totally trips them up and gets them all caught in the international incident episode. And it's like, he doesn't even care if he gets caught. He just doesn't want these guys to win. He wants to be the winner. It's like, damn, the bad guys can't even trust each other, which is great.
No, and
I know it's a trope, but it's so much fun.
the out for yourself routine. No, but I mean he was pretty slimy. He made for a good bad guy. I liked how they wrote him.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased with that too.
Like he had the one fucking goal of one of his products being better than in RoboCop, which I don't know why. Like the Ed 260s could have done something in different areas. Like, do you only need one RoboCop to fucking stop mass production on those things?
I guess.
Seems like I don't know. It's a minor loophole.
Well, for a late 80s cartoon, minor was very acceptable in my opinion. Other shows around that area had things you could drive like a fucking Ed 209 right through.
Yeah, but there is a RoboCopter at the end. Like they get their 80s fully on by the end. There's a fucking RoboCopter.
Just because of that, I'm going to do something here. Get to the RoboCopter.
And then the sound effects for the choppers, pew, 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 pew. It's like, come on, man. War of the World sounded cooler than that. Like,
yeah, some of the sound effects, I was like, oh man, this is definitely 80s. It's definitely 80s.
And that was so funny that they would use Foley's like that, because the rest of the Foley work they did was wonderful. Like they took sounds from RoboCop and put it into the cartoon when he's moving and shit.
There had to be Saban International doing that, because you're talking about the people behind Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just guessing.
I could see that. Like it was a very nice detail that added to the show. Do you ever remember seeing this on Saturday mornings?
I vaguely remember this. So I think I saw a couple of episodes, but I don't remember if I actually ended up finishing it, because a lot of these episodes watching again, I was like, I think I've seen this one. I think I've seen that one. And I can probably pinpoint which ones they are in just a moment. But for the most part, it's like a lot of these I was watching felt like the first time. And I'm like, damn, especially the last one, because I did not see that coming at all, and it completely threw what I thought of the show into a tailspin because I was not expecting like that to happen. And when it did happen, it was like, oh, you completely just, it's like this big plot twist. Like, holy shit, you just went Game of Thrones on me. You subverted my expectations, but in a good way, because I completely just was lost.
It felt that way towards the end, didn't it?
Yeah.
I had written down at the end of episode 10, this should have been so far where the series should end. And then once I got to episode 11, which was RoboCop in the wilderness, I was kind of like, preachy filler. We don't need preachy filler.
I felt like we were getting close to what the TV show did, like the 94 live action show we covered. It felt like with episode 11, oh God, another show that went about 2 episodes too long.
They saved their asses, though. They saved their ass. Although I
They
can't
stuck
say
the landing.
Yeah, and only because of the details within or the characters within.
Bingo.
I want to say that the story to episode 10 was better than the episode 12.
Yeah, the story, episode 10, Robot's Revenge, was excellent. I thought episode 12, yeah, the story wasn't quite there, but what they did with that episode was really setting up for the future, and I thought they did excellent with that.
Wouldn't that have been cool? And like, it was during the Dare years. That would have been a perfect fucking thing to do. Like, seriously. Yeah. And that's okay. So getting to the preachy part and the filler, they did have stuff like Saturday mornings would with like PSAs, but without the PSA at the end. Like there was definitely gang episodes. There was drug episodes.
Yeah, they had their theme of the week sort of thing going on at times with the, what should we tell these kids in a message in this episode?
Yeah. And it wasn't bad. It was just very noticeable.
That's the best way to describe that, because at times I'm like, I think I know what they're going to be talking about in this episode for kids as a theme.
Yeah. And the punkers, they were very close. Not the Vandals, but the gang thing at the end, I think. I can't remember their gang name. They were very close to the edge of being racist as fuck with that. Like, everyone.
Is that which one? Which gang was that?
I don't remember the name of the gang, but it was Sergeant Reed's nephew.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted to use him to steal OCP tech. And so they called that his initiation, which I'm like, everybody knew back then you had to get jumped in. Whatever.
Oh, that had to be hot seat. Episode 6?
No, we're closer towards the end. Where is it? Not RoboCop in the Woods. Episode 9, Rumble in Old Detroit.
Oh, Rumble Old Detroit. Yep.
Yeah.
That's actually something I'll bring up later.
They had it was basically a PSA with gang violence, the actuality of being in a family versus that being in a gang that calls itself family.
Yeah.
And then self-esteem for disabled people, which is kind of like, you don't need to tell them that they need self-esteem. I think they do. You don't say otherwise.
That was something that was pretty common during that era and into the mid 90s, where that was a big trope. And this was just at the beginning of that sort of style, and from what I remember anyway. I might not be accurate about that in general, but as far as my memory goes, this is about the time they really started to hammer on that, and then they really went and deluged everybody for the next 10 years with that stuff. Where every show had something to do about something like that.
Instead of making people with handicaps, hiring them or whatever out to be like fucking affirmative action, like instead of telling handicapped people that you're just as normal as everyone else, don't tell handicapped people that. Tell fucking normal people that. They're the fucking assholes. Like, seriously, normal people should be educated on what it is to be handicapped, what their fucking day is like, as opposed to, oh, they look different. Oh my goodness, I should be afraid of them. Like, they went about that whole thing back then really wrong.
And that's our Sons and Shadows PSA. And knowing is the whole battle.
I'm very short. I'm half Portuguese, so if I can't stand on a soapbox, most people can't hear or see me.
What?
Down here, asshole. I skipped way ahead, but yeah, that was kind of my soapbox on that. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Oh wait, I went too far back. Too far back. I didn't want to go back to the RoboCop TV show.
You didn't. That's what we're covering. No, I'm kidding.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about that did come back again that we hadn't mentioned in the pilot was Lieutenant Hitchcock from the SWAT team.
Yes.
What a cocknob he is. And they kept his character very realistic.
Oh yeah.
Until
he's a nice nagging secondary character is what he is.
Kinda like the little nerdy guy in fucking Kolchak was much more enjoyable than this prick.
Right.
But I know he's supposed to be that way. He was an asshole in the fucking movies too. He was the only one that was like, we're going to go shoot this fucking thing. Whereas everyone from Murph's precinct were like, we're out. Dr. McNamara makes him a suit, a power suit. Like you'd think like Lex Luthor's suit, but it doesn't look like Lex Luthor's suit. He looks like a fucking GoBot.
I was going to say Hulkbuster for Marvel reference.
Yeah, or maybe like Nimrod, the original design of Nimrod, if you're an X-Men fan.
There you go.
He just did not look good. I was like, he looks like a fucking GoBot.
You might as well have designed it to look like a T-loader from Aliens, for Christ's sake.
Yes, that would have been cooler. That would have been much cooler. Which would have been another good fucking cartoon series for kids, like just as good as this or Rambo, 18, whatever.
Aliens, Clone Warriors, the animated series. There's more one.
It's a fracking bug hunt.
It's game over, man. Game over.
But the I gotta stop.
I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
I'll get stuck on aliens.
I love aliens.
The one thing or the one character that they got 100% wrong to the point of being offensive was Officer Lewis.
Oh my God. What they did sometimes with her character just made me want to close my eyes and be like, this isn't happening. This is not happening. You're doing a romance with her? What the fuck?
I've never dropped my, well, I can't say I've never dropped my jaw that hard so fast. Like I've heard people say some really racist shit that I couldn't believe was said in front of people, but I've never heard a show degrade women like this did. It was horrible. Like Lewis was a fucking bad motherfucker in the movies. And now she can't get a date. She's only got the hots for a fucking cyborg that's only a face and spine. And then she wants to throw herself at a prince.
Until she finds out she'd have to share him with 5 other women. And if this was on the level of, say, an HBO animated show or one of the original live action RoboCops, 1 or 2, there might have been a joke in there of
I'd buy that for $1.
Or 2.
Or the prince would be like, what? There's always room for me.
Right? There's always room for a jet. Oh, my love. Come on.
I was like, oh man, that was not a good look.
No. And it wasn't that it was a bad episode. It was just fucking crazy.
It did not put her in a good light at all. I mean, not the voice actress, but how they wrote that character at times was just, it's like nails on a chalkboard sometimes. Other times it's like, hey, you're onto something with her. You're doing something interesting with her. And then they turn right around in either the next episode or the next scene, and it'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? You were doing so well. Like, what did a puppy come into the room and you got distracted and you're like, oh, what were we doing? Oh, just write something stupid for her. It'll be fine.
Like, here's your script. Go ahead and set your gender back 30 years. Like, it's not okay. Like, golly, like you guys got that way the fuck wrong. And like you said, they didn't need a romance in this. Like, no Saturday morning cartoons need a romance in it per se.
Well, and that was never part of any RoboCop of any level. He never did a romance with his partner. Like, where'd this come from? Who came up with this bright idea? That's why I wondered if it was like 20, 30 years later. I know I'm going to keep bringing this up, but it's like, you're not even talking about his wife and kids. And if she knew about them, she wouldn't even fucking think about trying to hook up with a robot like him. I mean, he might be part man, part machine. Was she hoping which part was man and the other part was a machine? Just saying. Did she want to rock that all cop?
Do they not know what to do with her?
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know.
Now there were times like I did like the animation of her. Like they also made her sexy too. Like even in that horrible date story of an episode where she's all dressed up, I'm like, ooh, this reminds me of when we got Harley Quinn in the animated series, and or Jessica Rabbit and Who Framed Roger Rabbit with like these sexy animated characters. It's like, shit, I don't remember this from the late 80s.
Right. Oh, shit. Give me one pause. Fuck. Yes, I accept your goddamn cookies.
I like cookies. But I'm going to leave this in.
Okay. She's so promiscuous in this and so desperate for Murphy.
She needs to get laid.
Yeah, that you have to wonder if like people like Megan Hall watched this and figured out, hey, maybe this is how I should be a cop. Fucking everybody on the force. I don't know. And for people who don't know at home, that was the female officer, I believe, in Tennessee that married female officer in Tennessee that slept with 7 of her coworkers. Maybe some together. I don't know. But it didn't look good. And Lewis looks even worse in this because she throws herself at people. Like, horribly throws herself at people.
She can't hook up with a cyborg. She wants to hook up with royalty. I mean, and the one guy who does have interest in her, even though he pursues her a little too hard and doesn't know when to back off, she totally shuts him down like all the time.
And see, that's bad for people's self-esteem. Why do they got to go about it that way? Like,
I don't know, bro.
Which apparently is a thing now. Like, you're not supposed to tell people, no, I don't really like you that way. You're supposed to fucking like say something horrible to them, like your fucking breath smells like my taint. Like, why would you say that to somebody? Just say no.
Just say no. Oh my god.
Thanks,
These days.
no. Yeah, I cannot wait for my kids to get older. Oh god, speaking of kids, another part of this that was really unnecessary and kind of dumb was, where was it? Episode 7, No News is Good News, where...
Oh, with Crud?
Yes.
I'm sorry, KRUD TV.
Yeah. I have that written down.
With my favorite Geraldo Rivera knockoff.
Oh, yeah. It was so good. And then he got fucking punched at the end. You're like, yay, it's just like Geraldo.
Hey, it's not Umberto from the other show.
No, Umberto was fucking cool. This guy was like...
This guy was so Weasley.
Yeah. And nobody but Geraldo is really that much of a slippery prick. Like, I don't even think Jay Leno was that slippery when he was trying to get the Tonight Show job.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It was uncanny. Seeing the design of this character was literally Geraldo Rivera. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Because that's when he was doing his little TV show stick before he became a respected journalist again. I mean, he had always been a journalist, but then he did his TV show, talk show, and then he went back to journalism.
For Fox News, wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't really follow that kind of thing.
Technically journalism, but...
But he got away from doing that kind of TV like Oprah, Phil Donahue, Jerry Springer. He used to do those shows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck, he got his nose goddamn broken on one. I remember that.
I was watching him back then. When he went back to news anchoring or reporting, it's like,
meh.
I was too young to even care about that. So,
well, that and everyone knows he's a bullshitter. So it's like he has no journalistic integrity whatsoever. Just like this guy did. Like, he knows he was spinning the truth. That was the whole plot of the episode, was like to spin the truth so RoboCop would be pulled off the force. Like McNamara thought of a new passive aggressive way to fucking beat him.
Hey, if you can't beat him, destroy him.
Kind of like, let's get a smear campaign going.
Yeah, PR wars.
But of all people, who saves Alex during this situation of everything being recorded and re-edited so he's the bad guy?
This totally rad kid.
Yeah, that he happens to save and straightens out his skateboard because skateboards could totally do that.
Yeah, it totally bent in a totally 90-degree direction, and boom, it's flat again.
Yeah, like completely level, like with surgical precision. The most fucked up thing that made me like get an eye twitch in that episode or with the kid, because I don't like shit with kids in it. Usually kids complicate things and derail from the story.
Right.
He went under his bed so he could help RoboCop and pulls out a camcorder. That doesn't sound at all crazy today, but in 1988, camcorders were like $500 fucking dollars, came in huge fucking RCA cases, and stayed in your parents' room, not the 10-year-old kid's room.
And if it went in your parents' room, you never saw it again because there was probably something on that tape your parents did not want you to see.
And Esther's wedding videos?
They're really not Esther's wedding videos. The 3 nights you went on a trip to your grandma's house.
You didn't know how much you can get on VHS back then. I thought Swingers was a movie.
Not anymore. That might have been the parody of it.
Oh, shit.
Now, what did you think of RoboCop, though? Like Murphy himself as a character?
Oh, gosh. That wasn't too horrible, but he was another one of the characters that would kind of talk down to Lewis. Like at the very end, since we're getting to the end, I guess we could talk about it. Clarence Boddicker returns.
Yep, not dead.
And his gang. So, you're just sitting there too excited to be like, oh, shit, did he put his hand on his neck or some shit? Did he apply pressure? Wow, I thought he was dead. Like, I've spent 30 years figuring he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
And that kind of blew my mind. And the only thing that I didn't really care for it was, again, they changed all the actor likenesses so people wouldn't get paid. So you're just kind of like, eh. But RoboCop pretty much kept in vein of how they originally wanted him to be until the end, where Lewis is basically admonishing Murphy for almost killing or shooting Clarence. He turns and looks at her and says, I'm programmed to uphold the law. I was in control the entire time. And then he walks away and you're just kind of like, did he just say, there, silly woman, so naive? Like, I'm pretty sure that's what he just said. he was fucking with them, like scaring the shit out of him, which is not illegal to do. But Lewis thought that he was going to shoot Clarence and was like begging and pleading with him like her life fucking depended upon it, or that he was better than that. And that's when they took the high road with, I'm going to arrest you, not kill you, which was outside of the character for RoboCop. Otherwise, 100% he was awesome in this.
Really awesome. I think part of that might have had to be some of the direction he was given in the booth of like, you need to read it like this instead of like, do multiple takes, get a different inflection, try and put this out a different feel. Because it was, I don't know, there was times like every time he'd say like an occasional sentence, I'd be like, that sounds a little pathetic. That doesn't sound like a Murphy thing. That sounds more like you don't know what you need to do for this scene. So let's just throw this out there and just move on to the next sentence. Like our booking time is coming up. Like we got to rush through this whole script. And it's like, man, because there were times it felt like there was not much energy into it. And I know I don't usually knock voice acting, but this might have been more on the direction or whatever they had to deal with at the time in order to get the dialogue out. But overall, the character I thought was well done. I do agree with you with the last episode. Some things were a bit out of character, but I think that was also part of the grand context of they just took the whole first RoboCop ending and they threw it out the window. And they're trying to make up going into another season. How are we going to have more big bads going on? Or we got to tie this more in now into the movie. So it's like, you're kind of retconning things now. You had a good thing going. So I'm kind of iffy on it, but I still like the episode. I still like Clarence in it, but Murphy as a character, I felt, okay, I like the more character arc from episode 10 to end the show. Maybe this episode should have been earlier in the season.
Maybe. Because you can't say don't stop with with clearance. Like that's their big see you next year kind of thing.
Exactly.
And Boddicker would be the person that they'd want to sell a fuck ton of action figures for. So I'm guessing that was their reasoning there.
Probably.
As we saw with
It's like an ace up the sleeve, you know?
Yeah, because there was really nobody that you'd buy a fucking action figure for outside of like Alex or Ed 209. Like McNamara was not an interesting character. Boner's not a fucking interesting character.
The original in the movies, Dan O'Herlihy.
Sure.
That would get a figure.
Yeah, I did like him. I always liked him. That's why I thought up until like this last watching that he was much nicer than what he was in RoboCop 2. Like actually rooting for Alex. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode carried a lot of weight to it. They did a lot of things right. For example, having too many big bads. They had 2 Ed 260s on here, just like they did in RoboCop 2014.
Right.
But they made it work in this because they were more menacing. The stakes felt higher, and they never did it again. It was that one time that there was something that fearsome that he needed help or what have you.
Yes.
And it worked out okay. It made them menacing. It made for a good, I want that fucking action figure, because who doesn't like Ed 209 aside from Crow and Servo?
Oh, yeah.
But they added so many more heavy themes to this outside of polygamy, prostitution. What else did we get here? Terrorism, Middle East peace relations. Yeah. Peace relations, espionage, sabotage, corporate corruption, gas prices, price gouging, harems, polygamy, racism. Like
bank thievery. I mean, stealing blood.
Yes. And then finally they end it with diplomatic immunity. You're like, this is where fucking they got Lethal Weapon 2 from?
Just been revoked.
They seriously stole the end of Lethal Weapon 2 from RoboCop the animated series.
God damn this show.
I was
just
shocked.
Wow.
I didn't roll my eyes. I just laughed my ass off. Like,
I was just like, no shit. This was first.
Bravo, cartoons. Bravo.
Good job,
you know what? Some cartoons were very well written when it came to getting messages across and learning things. Certain writers, Joe Straczynski, could write episodes of Ghostbusters, and you just went through like an entire course of mythology and learning some neat shit.
Yep.
You didn't get so much of that with this.
Yeah.
This was just fun. Nothing to learn, just fun. Although there was one thing that might actually stop a few people from actually enjoying this, and that was the Robo Dogs. It's not bad because they're cybernetic, I guess, but he does shoot a couple dogs. I don't like that sort of violence myself, but
no, yeah,
they're animated and they're cyborgs. I can get past it.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that's where Resident Evil got the zombie dog idea from.
I don't know, but they were neat looking though, huh? Well, more.
That was they kind of reminded me of Transformers. Soundwave's dog,
probably
Ravage.
That sounds about right. The cat, the puma, right? And then he had the little dude with the fucking who's it?
Soundwave had the bird, and he had, I thought, a dog.
Thought it was a puma, but I could be completely wrong. Again, I haven't watched any of that shit since long before I was married.
Then you got married. That was your first mistake there, buddy.
I went to the VET.
Life sentence, buddy.
But yeah, I mean, they packed so much into that you're just kind of like, golly, that was fun. And they don't end it where it was really fun. They ended it where it was lucrative. And if nothing else, maybe this should have been episode 10 should have been the second to last episode, because RoboCop in the woods fighting, deforestation was not interesting.
Right.
So I'd rather watch him save the fucking whales.
Yeah. Or yeah. Star Trek. The Voyage Home. Yeah. When they got to that environmental episode, I was just a little checked out. I was like, I'm not really feeling this one. Just not. I mean, I thought it was neat trying to come up with a makeshift charging station chair for him, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Because even my notes on that one are pretty slim. It's cool airplane crash, makeshift power chair, and setting up old man as the next big bad.
That was about right. Because yeah, he did not want to let RoboCop have his way of fucking shutting that place down.
No, he was not happy about that, like at all. And even got to see the old man finally doing some nefarious activities with like, oh, I'm promoting you, but you're also going to jail. And you're fired, buddy. And it's like, wait, what's going on here? All of a sudden at the very end, it got like super interesting. So for most of the episode, it's like, okay, this is kind of lame. And then in the last like 5 minutes, it's like, wait, was this actually okay?
Well, see, that's
like it all built up just for that.
Yeah, and that's what I really hate about a lot of TV shows that use filler, because you'll have to wait till the very fucking end to get one smidgen of a clue of what's going to happen further down the line.
Right.
In this case, Boner being the bad guy and Alex being able to defy OCP. That was good. They could have just gone with that, and there was no place to go afterwards, of course, but all the way through it, you're just kind of like, I don't care about this hippie shit so much. I live in Oregon. Deforestation is all the fucks around me. I hear about it all the time.
Well, here's a question for you. This is pretty typical back then. Would you rather have a filler episode, or would you rather have a clip show episode where they recap several episodes and intertwined like maybe 3 minutes of story in there while you're replaying multiple scenes from previous episodes?
Oh, well, when you put it like that, yeah. I hate clip shows.
It's kind of a flip a coin for me, because I hate clip show episodes. That's what those are called. But I also am not the biggest fan of filler episodes unless you really love the characters. And they didn't really have too many of our favorite characters in that. And when they were in there, they were so spread out and far between each other, and so much everything else was squished in between it all. Just felt like, like a very unbalanced salad. It's like, yeah, you want the green, but I also want my tomato, and I want my carrot, and I want, 4 other things in there, but I don't want like 2 slices of carrot over here, and I don't want 1 tomato. Like that's not balance, bro.
No.
You gotta give me the whole fucking thing.
And that you're right. We'll get to it in the six pack challenge. There were multiple episodes in between episodes that actually followed a linear plot.
Right.
And I guess maybe okay when you're 8 years old, that's fine. But no, like watching now, I'd much rather just see it. But at the same time, clip shows, like you were saying, were fucking horrible.
Yes.
The only time those were good were on Friday nights before the new seasons of Saturday morning cartoons started, where they'd like have the Full House gang showing you fucking clips of all the different shows that were coming out the next day.
Right.
Other than that, no. Like, do you remember when kind of shows were meh? They're a joke is what they are.
Yeah. The only time I ever liked any sort of like a clip was like previously on. And that's if you're not, and that was on a week by week basis where you had to wait a week for the next episode. So it was kind of nice to have a reminder, but these days it's overplayed so much that you spend 5 minutes recapping the previous episode, and it's like, can you just get to the fucking episode already?
Well, that's to keep costs down. They don't have to record as long.
Oh, fuck that. Just make a better show.
Kind of. Which, like, I suppose we should talk about it tonight instead of Sunday. But for people listening at home, there is a writer's strike approaching again. And the last time we had one of those was in 2008. And if you don't remember, there were a lot of good shows happening at that point that crashed and burned and just went away completely. Like we talked about Terminator earlier this year, that was one of those shows that actually survived. I don't know what's popular right now, but I if there's any TV shows that are on that are super mega popular that are in trouble of being canceled, it's nothing that I watch. So I don't know about what the state of TV would be like today for that.
Yeah, anything that's had its scripts at least finished, the production will continue. However, anything just going into production or in the middle of production, that's going to be a problem. This happened to Heroes. That is the biggest hit that happened with that whole writer's strike. That's the one everybody remembers most because the first season was awesome. Second season was good up until it got nixed, and when it came back, it wasn't the same again. It never recovered.
No, to the point that I didn't even watch the third season. I didn't buy it. Nothing.
Or the reboot when they did it a few years later.
Oh, that's right. They did do that, didn't they?
Yep.
And had a comic book that I was kind of like, I don't care.
Yeah.
like you said, to your point, it was a brilliant show during the first season. And for half of the second season, it was really dope. I mean, like, you can't have better or scarier than Sylar, you'd think. But no, they bring in and introduce you to Kristen Bell, who looks like this sweet, nice person who's evil as fuck. And then later on, you have a hard time watching her in movies because she actually is a really sweet, nice person.
Save the cheerleader, save the world.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of anybody that was like in the show per se. I liked the writing for it. The music was good, the writing was fantastic, the cinematography was good. It was a dope ass made show.
Yeah.
And you get to a point in season 2 where you're like, oh, this is awesome. And then after that, when the strike comes back, to be perfectly honest, I don't remember what fucking happens.
It's so unremarkable or unmemorable. It's ridiculous. It's like somebody turned the off switch and they tried to turn it back on after it's been off for 7 years and the bulb was just way too aged.
Shit. The filament's moist.
Yeah. There's water in the bottom of the bulb.
Oh, but I mean, I don't wish any show any ill will, because shows, be good or bad, fucking employ writers, employ grips, back PAs, whatever.
It's
they
jobs.
Employ a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so for the studios, which are always out to fucking nickel and dime people because they're in the picture business, we'll always stick it to the fucking writers first. Writers always make the least.
Yeah.
And it's just shitty because yes, it takes an actor and a director to bring a story to life, but someone's imagination is worth a lot more than what your actor can do. Your actor wouldn't have an inclination what to do if your writer didn't come up with it first.
All right.
There's my second soapbox for the night.
Yeah.
But I will also say this about that. Please bring back American Gladiators again. Please, 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 please.
Didn't they try and bring that back a few years ago?
I don't know. Pluto has a channel. Yeah, Pluto has a dedicated American Gladiators channel.
I remember the original just fine.
Yeah.
Not Nitro.
For whatever that may be.
I found that to be a fun show. I mean, you know, I'm a kid from the 80s. I love all this shit. So growing up with Gladiators, RoboCop, Voltron, Transformers, Thundercats, all of that, you know, I'd clump RoboCop in. This animated series, I know it was only 12, 13 episodes, but of all the ones that didn't last very long, this is probably up there with some of the really good ones that just it never had a chance to continue.
Yeah, like no offense to anyone that worked on the project or anyone at Hanna-Barbera, but that's just the way it goes. This was more intriguing to me and more adultish than even Pirates of the Blackwater.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a huge pirate fan, but I am a fan of fucking shooting bad guys in the chest with a giant 50 caliber machine gun or machine pistol. But still, this could have gone a lot further. They could have made a ton of money with it just in merchandising alone. Fuck, I'd eat RoboCop cereal. Sounds like it tastes like justice.
Yeah. Part cereal, part milk, all breakfast.
Oh, breakfast.
I don't know. I'm probably still on a kick from Cocaine Bear to come up with these fun little ideas.
Oh, that was so much fun. If you haven't watched our episode on Cocaine Bear, watch it. It's fun. And
Check
if you
it
haven't
out.
watched Cocaine Bear, watch Cocaine Bear.
Damn right.
I can't say it's going to be the best movie you see all year, but it might be one of the more fun movies you see all year.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, like
Just don't watch RoboCop remake 2014.
no, there's really no reason to do that unless you like wanting to take a stress test, but you're too lazy to get on a treadmill. Watch that movie. It works out just as well. About like you're
Yep,
still gonna
it's definitely a stress test.
You're gonna watch eye twitches. You're gonna figure out, God, that's my eye that's twitching. I didn't know I was doing that.
Oh, that
Having a
explains the
stroke.
hernia in my back. Yeah, I mean, neuroarthritis, everything. It'll get you covered.
And shame on everyone for getting paid for that movie. You know it was bad.
You cash that check though, and don't feel bad about it.
That's true. I am a mercenary bitch enough for that. But the movie was shit. Just like Ghostbusters 2016, the movie was shit.
Hey, as long as it paid for Gary Oldman's mansion in the hills, that's fine by me.
And Sam Jackson did get a motherfucker in, but unfortunately, it was blipped. But
Yep.
uh,
We digress.
speaking of blips, though, Media Break. Media Break was a returning character for this.
Yep, they didn't use them very often, but when they did, it was short and effective and to the point. It wasn't as satirical as I was kind of hoping for, but every once in a while they'd mention something interesting, or a side character would, like the Cybernetics Wars, which we'd never heard of before. And I wrote it down. I'm like, Cybernetics Wars, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah, just after the Cola Wars.
Pretty much.
No, I lost myself again. I said Cola Wars and immediately went to fucking Billy Joel in the back of my head. God damn it, we didn't start the fire stuck in there. Damn it. No.
Our podcast is quickly degenerating.
That's what you get for having degenerates on it.
All right, Kevin, but hey, there's no better time. I got a challenge for you. It's called the 6-pack challenge, buddy. All right, we're going to start off with you, though. What are your 6 episodes that you feel tell the story, or what are your favorite 6 episodes?
Oh, man. Statistically speaking, hey, come on, turn on. I have a list, whole list written here for you.
Assistants are hard to find, bro. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You need to get RoboCop on your staff.
I have to feed mine and wipe their asses, and they bitch and complain, like want breaks and stuff. They want to go outside and play. I'm not down with that. I don't have time.
You need a robo-dog. Gotcha.
But statistically speaking, there were 12 episodes. So I was like, ooh, are we going to be able to do the 6-pack challenge? I mean, like, it's going to be 50-50 whether or not we can or not.
Well, you can easily cut out episode 11.
Yes. Episode 11, I want to say the episode with fucking Reed's nephew that gets his legs crushed beyond belief even further.
Yeah.
And that's what they say. His legs have been crushed beyond repair. And so then Robo takes him to OCP to get him like cybernetic orthotics and shit.
Or braces that are all cybernetic.
And again, it's hard not to make a Lieutenant Dan joke or to point out like, oh shit, that's where Marvel got that idea. They've been sitting on that for fucking 30 some years.
He has been saved. Praise Jesus.
Science. But there were, in fact, 6 episodes that kept a linear plot in that. And I went with episode 1, Crime Wave, because that's where we get the introductions to the characters like Lewis coming back, Sergeant Reed, Boner, the old man, Dr. McNamara and his Ed 260. And you get a first look at the gang, the Vandals, that McNamara employs to make everyone look bad, especially RoboCop.
I like that gang, to be honest with you.
They were not as bad as the Jive Talking Gang at the end that was like a ball hair away from being racist as fuck. Like they showed one white guy talking the same way and you're like, that helps, but no one talks like that.
I wrote down that they did that as an homage to probably the Warriors. And I'm like, come out to play.
Oh.
But I have no idea.
I've never actually seen that movie, so I don't know. All I know is people are like, that movie's amazing.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's what
I like it enough. It's in my collection, but yeah.
Okay, and then number 2, skip ahead. We've got a couple episodes that have nothing to do with anything. It's episode 4, Manhunt in the Iron Suit. That's where we see Lieutenant Hedgecock, who's still a prick. McNamara returns, as well as his Ed 260 again. And of course, makes a GoBot suit for fucking Lieutenant Hedgecock, who wants to be like everyone's fucking hero. Like, look how strong I am. I can do this with a suit. Yeah, you need a suit, you little bitch.
Raise the roof. Raise the roof.
And then we've got episode 106, which is the hot seat. We are seeing the Vandals return, who now want revenge on Dr. McNamara for selling them under the bus. And that's the episode where we find out that everything that Robo has is like utilized by him, specifically his recharge chair. It's got a thing that goes up his butt, and he sits on it, and it recharges him. I won't say exactly how, but it does.
What in the butt?
It's got
is
a little
this
thing.
A South Park reference now?
Yeah, it's got the little prod, the little electrode prod that goes right in the butt.
Screw you, Gavin. I'm going home.
You just recharge that way. You just sit down. Oh.
You will respect his authority.
It vibrates. Oh. Next, I went with episode 107, which is No News is Good News. And that's again where I said we see McNamara still trying to get the best of RoboCop, but he goes about it differently, non-violently this time, by making a smear campaign for him. And of course, still fails because the truth always prevails, especially where journalism is involved.
Yeah, right.
Journalism is a lie. Okay, and then episode 10, A Robot's Revenge. I know who was going to suspect that I'd throw this in there. And what kept it in there, as far as it being part of the plot, wasn't so much everything that they threw in there. It was the fact that Ed 260 is there and is hijacked by somebody. Like, the dude actually hacked into OCP and hijacked fucking Ed 260. And the other part that made it very linear was you see Lewis's biological clock start to swirl super fast going down the fucking train. Like, it's approaching midnight quick. Like, if something doesn't fuck me right now, I'm gonna grow old and die.
My carriage is going to turn into a pumpkin.
I'm a withered old wasteland. Oh, Kevin, stop being misogynistic. I'm sorry. And then finally, of course, is the last episode. Oh, shit. You know that clock on Beetlejuice at the end where Lydia...
You're killing me.
Oh shit, that's just kind of what I think with that cuckoo clock spinning around like 90 miles an hour. It's Lewis's biological clock fucking going down.
That cuckoo ain't popping out of that clock.
Oh, my parents call twice a day to ask where my grandchildren are. Oh, and then of course the last episode. It's the last episode. Menace of the Mind, because as I put in my notes, Clarence fucking Boddicker. That's all that would have been said about that. Like, it really has nothing to do with the story beyond that, other than it sticks with the movie.
Good little list. I have a very similar list, so I'll just briefly touch upon a couple of them. I'm definitely going to start with the pilot. I really loved the line at the beginning where the guy just yells, "Kiss my big toe, copper." I don't know why, but I immediately just started dying laughing when I first started watching the episode. I'm like, this is completely ridiculous. I love this show. And it's one of the ones I remembered watching as a kid. So I did remember like a little bit of like the Killdozer going on, and like, you know, the Ed 260 doing traffic duty. That just made me laugh again too. That was so much fun. And it was a great setup to the story, as Kevin talked about, you know, all of these characters were returning and what they're doing with them. It laid the groundwork. It was perfect for a first episode, and it definitely set the tone for the whole series. So it did very well doing that. I'm actually going to follow that up with the second episode, though. I liked how the Robo Cruiser, the Robo One, was basically like the Batmobile / Knight Rider. I thought that was super cool that they finally equipped basically a cool car with RoboCop, because if he's supposed to weigh like 500-600 pounds, you know, these cars they got to withstand his weight, you know, and clearly Lewis is not even a buck, you know, she's not even 100 pounds. So like that car is tragically oversold on its weight. So they needed to do something for him. And at least they did that in animated form, because they had a little more freedom with that. And they probably couldn't use the likeness of the Ford Taurus.
Oh, yeah, that's right, huh?
We were talking about, you know, character design shifting, but, you know, I really liked how Lewis was, I know it was the dating episode, but I even wrote down Lewis kind of hot in a dress. And I wrote down password protection, you know, because they left the open password on a computer, and that's how they got access to things. And then, you know, like Robo Villain. And I'm like, this is kind of fun. And now we can move forward with the story, because the next couple episodes are basically pointless. They're fun, but they're clearly filler. They play no overall plot to anything, you know. I mean, it's a giant, basically episode 3 is a kaiju episode. You got a giant Japanese creature, and they even have a Japanese scientist in this. It's a bit stereotypical. Just saying. And but after that, we go through the Brotherhood episode, which is a good episode, but it's not my choice. I went with Man in the Iron Suit as well, though, because that had the cool robo training course, and I loved how Hedgehog almost killed Lewis, and it pissed RoboCop off, and it showed how protective he is of her, even if it's to the point of being excessive at times throughout the show.
Yeah.
But I liked how he was at least looking out for his part.
Yes, he always has that. Always, always, always. And that's one of the things that I did like that they kept with the character.
Yeah.
That never changed. Like Lewis is his sister. That's his partner.
Yeah. And I like that. That was very nice touch. And I'm going to also agree with episode 6, The Hot Seat, where they stole RoboCop's charge station. I call it the I station because it was probably overpriced because it's OCP instead of Apple. And it's also the episode where the Vandals, got broken out in a very cool escape. And I thought that was really nice because Dr. McNamara drove in basically a tank into the prison and got them out of there, which was super fun. And they also had tension between the villains again, too, where they had the chair. Oh, he's not going to help us. Okay, we're just going to work with the police then. And so there was a nice set of character tensions between everybody. And it just felt very compelling at times. So I really got a kick out of that. And then we had filler episodes. I'm not going to talk about the Robin Hood episode after this. Yes, there's a Robin Hood episode. Holy shit. But I went with A Robot's Revenge as well. It tells a pretty good story. We didn't need the romantic love triangles I wrote down. What are we watching? Twilight here? I'm Team Robo, by the way. Let's see, I like the international aspects of it. I feel like, this is where RoboCop 94, the live action show, got a great idea for their episode at the end where they did a similar thing with international peace talks.
How the hell did I miss that?
With Crazy Mulatto and Pudface.
Oh, where they do
President
the
was
Legion of
visiting
Doom
and
thing?
everything.
Oh, yes, and the lady president. And okay, yeah, I do remember that.
So I felt like there was maybe some inspiration there for that episode in the live show a few years later. And then, I'm definitely going to go with the final episode, Menace of the Mind. I was picking up some X-Men music themes and cues throughout the episode and the sound. I thought that was kind of fun. And of course, we got Boddicker. I was like, what the fuck? And I thought it was super fun and a super good ending. And I feel like they stuck the landing. So that's my 6-pack challenge. Those are 6 episodes I recommend to watch for linear story.
I dig it. I wasn't sure about the second episode, because it has its place. But again, there were so many others. So I was kind of like, that too. Oh, shit, that.
Watch those password protections, yo.
Yeah, really.
Don't leave that on an open screen for an hour.
you probably shouldn't just leave that written anywhere, physically typed, whatever. But again, this was the 80s. They didn't know anything about that.
Right.
Fucking Reagan had to learn about cyber hacking through, what was it, war games?
Yeah, because Al Gore invented the internet.
Yes, of course. One of the things that, to respond to what you were saying, the RoboCar, they loaded it with missiles.
Fucking loved it.
I liked that. I was like,
straight 80s, yo. This is fucking fantastic.
Just like the goddamn 89 Batmobile. You pull that fucking switch and those fucking things came up and shot. It was cool.
Machine guns on the Robo Chopper, so they had that going too.
That did not go pew pew pew. I think it was just Clarence's chopper that went pew 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 pew.
Yeah. And who knew Clarence could pilot a goddamn plane?
Yeah, right. That's what you do in jail. You sit and you take Microsoft Flight Simulator.
The one thing I'd say about the whole Clarence thing is because they retconned it a little bit is clearly RoboCop never got his revenge from the movie on him. He's still been out and about, crazy in the world. And at least they portrayed him as a crazy motherfucker in the show too. Not Joker level, but just completely villainous.
Yeah, he works. He works. The only thing that was wrong about him is the character design. Like we said, that's so they didn't have to fucking pay Kurtwood Smith, which is still shitty, but whatever. His character was very much the same. All of his gang members were the same. They had the same names. The only thing they fucked up with that is in the flashback, again, because all of that kept to the script of the original movie, they had Emil say, "Does it hurt? Does it hurt?" Instead of the Joe. Is that the other guy's name? I think it was Joe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like they got those two characters wrong in the flashback. Other than that, like everything that happened in the flashback, everything that they said was actually dialogue from the first movie. The whole "I bet you don't like me."
That was really nice touch. I mean, I wish they'd gotten the details right, but that was a nice touch.
Yeah, and Murph keeps having that fucking flashback of him getting shot in the face and seeing the muzzle flash. It's like, that's gonna fuck with anybody.
Well, yeah, that's what a lot of people say that have been shot in like any sort of the facial areas. That flash is the brightest light they've ever seen.
I bet. I don't need to see that at me anyway. Behind somebody's just fine. Just fine.
Yep. Just maybe, watch the hands.
Yeah. Maybe even to the side on a video camera watching a fucking turret. That's fine too.
Yep.
But this, going back to that with the 6-pack challenge, I agree with yours just as much as I could see with mine. There was a few things that didn't stick for this show, but in the long run, I would have kept this.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been lucrative. Fuck, Ninja Turtles hadn't even been out just yet, had they?
I think it was about to come out. I thought that was 89.
I think so too, or the movie was 89, one of the two.
Yeah, it was on its way at this point, I believe. Yeah, and like, talk about a golden era of fucking animated shows right around now.
Oh, right now?
Oh, no, back then, around this era, we were going from the 80s. I mean, there was definitely a transition of like what they were going to put on TV, but
yeah,
what stuck, I mean, eventually we got another animated show for RoboCop called Alpha Command or Alpha Commando, something like that. That ran for 40 episodes, but I don't think that one really stuck with people as much as like this one did, but this one didn't get a chance to really do more than just these 12 episodes.
And again, that's too bad because this was solid. It was really solid. Not every Saturday morning cartoon was fucking good. I know a lot of people look back at their favorite cartoons with nostalgia glasses, but let me tell you, Gummy Bears had a good song, and that was the fuck about it. Gummy Bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Yeah, I tried to watch Gummy Bears again, and I'm like, I fucking like this as a kid? Jesus Christ.
Gummy Bears and Snorks, anything like that is where I got up. If there's nothing else on, like, and go play with my toys for a half hour. Like, that was it. And there's a lot of shows from the 70s and 80s that are that way. There's really no good cartoons from the 70s, really. Maybe Scooby-Doo, Justice League, that's it.
Star Trek, the animated series, but that only ran a little while.
Now, was that voiced by the original actors?
Yes. That's basically considered season 4 of the show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But there, in the 70s, that was a strange era for animated shows. You had just some Japanese anime was starting to come over with like Macross, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I want to say Star Blazers, the old one, was coming out around that time. That might have been more early 80s, but 70s was very strange for animation around the US.
The storytelling was kind of crap. Like, legally, you couldn't do that. Like, there was a lot of things you couldn't show violence-wise in the 70s cartoons. The parental advisory shit in the 70s was a lot worse than it was in the early 90s. It was annoying in the 90s. It destroyed cartoons in general for the 70s. Like, there would be no shooting or running from bad guys like you'd see on Johnny Quest. It wasn't there. And in the 80s, once He-Man came out and G.I. Joe, and they started marketing things differently directly to kids, like, everything just kind of blew up from there. And marketing made it so they could do whatever the fuck they want to market directly to kids. I Have the Power is telling kids, you could do this. You don't have to listen to anybody. And it's not wrong. It worked. They made a fuck ton of money for it. But then, of course, once those kids got a little bit older, then they can't get their fucking Beastie Boys CDs or tapes without fucking their parents being present.
Mom busted in and said, "What's that noise?"
Like, I remember getting carded for fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers in like 92, 93. I'm like, fuck off.
Oh, I remember that too. I did too. But, there was still a parental pushback in the 80s with stuff, but it just got overpowered because there was too much on the opposite side of, no, we're okay with this. Like, it was like a pebble in an ocean. Like, it made like no difference except for like live action shows like, say, Hill Street Blues, police procedurals, other shows like that. They kept that violence like down low, like Simon and Simon. You've got like Hardcastle McCormick, Magnum PI. Like, they kept that to just like fist fights.
Yeah.
A-Team, they barely killed anybody in fucking A-Team. They just beat the shit out of people or set off traps and got them all caught.
Yeah. Like really elaborate story writing. Not, I shot that fucker, which is, of course, more realistic, but doesn't make for good writing. It's lazy writing.
At the time, it was kind of fun, but it's the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, why don't you just shoot him? It's like an Indiana Jones thing. It's like gun versus sword. Pull the gun out and shoot him. I'm dead. I win.
I'm out. I know in real life he's like, I've got 104 fever. I don't want to do this. I'm not getting paid in this moment. It's already 112 out here, and just fucking did the whole gun thing. And they're like, brilliant.
Well, they wanted him to beat him with a whip, and nobody could figure it out. He's like, why don't I just shoot him? Let's like, what are we doing here? It's like, listen to the man.
Yeah. What's gonna happen to my whip when it wraps around and tightens on a razor sharp fucking scimitar? Like, all he would have had to do is just like kind of pull down and back, and he would have been able to cut that shit. But the shooting the guy was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's always great.
Yep. And RoboCop shot him in this show.
Oh, yeah. And again, I liked that. There was shooting. Teaching kids how to be violent is not a good thing. But as an adult who likes RoboCop, this was a good thing for me.
Yeah.
But you know how fucking parent groups go. Like Dungeons and Dragons, I'm sure that got shut down because of the whole fucking Satanism thing.
Oh, yeah. I remember that a little bit.
Hell, Ghostbusters, that didn't get shut down until it proved to be unprofitable after part 2.
That's true.
Which is sucky because they kept it going for 2 seasons too long.
That's also true.
My wife keeps asking me, why do you always watch the first 2 discs over and over again? Because those are
the best.
Like, that's the only thing I really care to watch, except for like maybe here and there down the line.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, but again, this show didn't get to have that kind of longevity, and it's fine. If you could find this sort of thing, I would recommend it.
Yep.
But this is going to be something that you're probably going to have to look up for either in the link that we're going to submit for the show or going to your local con and look at their bootlegs.
Yeah, I mean, there is a British set made in the UK from like a few years ago. It's just DVD, though. It's really hard to kind of find that, and it's locked to that region. So unless you have an all-region player, it ain't gonna work for you.
Yeah, I caught that today with a Psycho Gorman Blu-ray.
Ah,
I hope I bought the right one because nothing else was was fucking open to America, North America in general.
Yeah,
it was either here or Canada. I hate that. But anyways, yeah.
Nope. But we'll make sure that that's included in our show notes when you go to check us out on RoboCop, the animated series. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. See you next.
Take care.
You now have 20 seconds to comply. To get to the RoboCopter!
Jump, 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 jump.